Google earlier this week had released Imagen 4, and they had some really impressive images. They had one like this capybara where you can see the bristles of their fur, as well as you see this painting where they're on the beach and you can actually see the paint brushstrokes, as well as you can see reflection on the bubbles in this one where you see the actual crystals on a microscopic level. And I wanted to see if these just hand-picked examples or are these actual real things that we can recreate. Let's get right into the video and see. I'm going to Whisk because that's one of the ways where you can use Imagen 4 right now. And as you see here that they give you a few different examples of animations that are already being used on Whisk, where there are people who are already using it. One of the things that I saw was this person who was on a train or a bus on a window seat, and they was completely animated. As well as you saw this realistic person where they have the hat, as well as you see this animated video that they did of a comic with the otter. You saw some keychains, some soap and candles that had some really intricate text on there. You also saw this one of a giraffe. In that painting that we saw earlier, you saw that they had one that was, they actually animated that within Whisk. Then you have this frozen fruit, which was like some raspberries and blueberries, as well as they have a smorgasbord of perfectly pieced together foods and sauces. They also have this cafe and this diner and this guy walking in these claymations of vegetables like the cabbage and the carrots. And they have a few others, and I think they're always changing based on when you're logged in and what people are actually animating. But these are really cool, so I wanted to try these out first to see what was the prompts that they used, as well as what would I get if I used it myself. As you see, trying to actually copy this and open it up in Whisk, you see that these prompts are actually very lengthy. It's like a cozy, intimate illustration focused on a person deeply engaged in reading a book while seated next to a window of a gently moving commuter train. The style features soft, silently grainy colors, gradients, and clean line work, overlaid with the subtle but uniform digital noise texture, creating a warm, lo-fi atmosphere. That was like first few sentences, and that's not even the full thing, as you see below with how lengthy this is. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. I think you can use it as a double-edged sword, but I just want to point that out, how detailed this prompt is. And if you wanted something similar to this, you may have to be as detailed as this when you're trying to create your own images. But when I was able to generate this, I was able to get actually something really similar to what they had within Whisk. As you see, the first picture at the top left is of the person, which was animated, and the other ones that I have are pretty spot on. And it's not image to image, so it's not looking at the other image, it's just going off of the prompt that I put in, that the other person put in, and they do look pretty similar, if I do say so myself. Also wanted to go ahead and do the person in their hat and the close-up where you see their nose and lips, because this looks really hyper realistic, and I wanted to see could I get something similar to that. And just like the last one, this one was like pretty lengthy. It said extreme close-up of a fashion portrait photographer focusing on the upper torso and face of the model wearing a unique geometric patched ensemble. The style is sharp, high detailed photographer for luxury fashion editor, emphasizing texture and artistic nature of the garment. The model wears an off-white canvas basketball cap and a collared shoulder section of a matching jacket. And like I said, that's just a few lines of what this whole prompt is. They even have like freaking measurements where it says achieved with 100mm macro lens. That level of detail, which like I said, I think if you want very good prompt coherence, I think that's nothing wrong with you doing that and the prompt actually spitting out what you want. But you have to be really good at prompting to even be able to create something like this. But for a lay person who may not be the best at prompting, may not even understand what a 100mm camera is or lens is and how to actually recreate that, I'm not sure if this is realistic. There are prompting guides out there how you should structure your prompting and how you should try to get these things, but I also want to do something a little different, because the Twitter examples, it didn't seem like they were that detailed. It seemed like they were one-liners where you see with the capybara and the bubbles, they literally had a few lines or one line in the description, and that's what they showed us. So I did also want to test how a normal user like me or you would use this, or maybe just the person whose first time using Imagen 4 is at these types of images. So as you even see here, it says the bristly fur of a capybara, brushstrokes on the canvas, reflection on the bubbles, delicate crystal surfaces. And it was like, okay, they're able to use those prompts. Let's see what we could do with just these one-liners. So as you see, I actually did do the capybara fur, and it actually does really give you an interesting close-up look on the capybara's fur, and you can see it's very detailed and very like similar to what they gave us on X when they showed us the capybara fur. Now let's try the brushstrokes on a canvas. And one thing to add, these generations are pretty fast compared to OpenAI's GPT-4o image generator, which takes some time. This one is pretty speedy to get out results, which can help, especially if you're trying to iterate over an idea and you don't know exactly what you want. I think 4o is where you want to go to polish it. But with the brush strokes on the canvas, you see that they actually did it. Especially the second one, the last one, you can definitely see the brush strokes are kind of caked up. You can actually see where it's layering of paint on the canvas itself. Then I want to try the reflections on the bubbles. And with the reflections on the bubbles, that actually wasn't too bad either. They were also able to give me a quite impressive one where it looks almost like a metallic sphere. The reflection is so crisp. You can definitely tell it's a building like that's being reflected off of the bubble, and it looks freaking amazing if you ask me. Other bubbles are bubbles, but not really as big on the reflection as the other one was. I also want to do the delicate crystal surfaces, and very detailed, very zoomed in to the crystals. Especially the second one. I think the first one you can see the cracks and the details. The second one looks like something somebody made off their phone or something. Very good in general. I also started playing around a little bit because they not only said that they could do these type of prompts, but they were saying that they could do different type of animations as well as detailed, nuanced prompting. So you know me, I'm a huge fan of Jujutsu Kaisen and anime in general. So I started to try to make a clone type of JJK type of character, but using their art style. And I try to use the Gojo domain expansion hand signs, and it went okay. I will have to admit that it did take me a bit of going back and forth with the prompting to do these type of things, because the first few ones, like something out of the Boondocks was mocking Jujutsu Kaisen or something, and it was okay. I'm not mad at it, but it didn't never really seem like it was following the art style of Jujutsu Kaisen, as well as they didn't really understand the shorthand JJK, I feel like, and so giving it the Jujutsu Kaisen as the art style kind of helped out. But overall, it still didn't do too bad. This is like final version, the domain expansion with them. You can still tell that like background looks like JJK, where it's like the destroyed Shibuya incident, but the foreground, the actual character, I think still looks like a Boondocks character. It doesn't look like JJK-ish. And so there is some things they can improve there when it comes to actually getting the artwork done. Here are just some other variations that I did to see if they will get better, and it never really fit the actual aesthetic that I was looking for when it came to a Jujutsu Kaisen person. I also did another one where I tried to do Imagen 4 but hyper realistic, where I have these people or women who are eating hot dogs and just making a mess of it. And these actually are really good. I will say so myself, that these are very hyper realistic, to see that they're able to generate these photos, and they actually are pretty amazing. Also did another one with a boxer shirtless and see the sweat to see how well it would do with another realistic photo, and it did okay. But I think the one with the woman eating a hot dog looks more like a candid shot. The other one with the boxer, I'm not saying it doesn't look real, it looks more like one of those promo photos where it may be a real photo but it's been super polished in Photoshop or something, not really like a real photo where somebody or your friend are taking pictures. It seemed like a professional photographer did that or something. Then I want to try a more complex prompt So since I was already on X, I had asked Grok to, well, ask them what would be a good image prompt that would test this out with more nuanced colors and intricate details. So I put that in Grok 3 and it spat out a prompt, and I just pasted it right into, well, Whisk using Imagen 4, and it did really good. As you see, the prompt was a vibrant, surreal forest at twilight filled with bioluminescent plants and delicate translucent flowers glowing in soft shades in teal, lavender, and rose gold. The scene is adorned in intricate moss-covered ancient ruins, their stones carving etched with delicate patterns that reflect faint iridescent hues. A gentle mist swirls through the air, catching the light of a crescent moon, casting subtle gradients of indigo and amber across the landscape. Which is a very detailed prompt, if I do say so myself, and I think that it actually did really well when it came to actually generating the image. Definitely, you see the bioluminescence, you see the moon, you see the hues, and it's very beautiful of a photo, if I do say so myself. You even see the moss growing on the tombstones and stuff like that. It's very interesting, and it was kind of cool that Grok was even able to come up with that. One thing I also wanted to do, because it said they did really good with the typography, was, well, I wanted to test out to see how well would it do with writing, because I remember ChatGPT 4.0, when their image generator came out, they literally had an image that created a letter, and you can read the letter. It was easily readable, and it also had people and cameraman in the background. It was actually insane to see that. So I was like, let me see if Imagen 4 could do something like that. And you see that, well, it does it. You can still see that the spelling is off. These are not real words for everything, but it looks very realistic as far as handwriting. It does seem like everything's in a line. It does have like people's hands still in there with the letters, but it's definitely not on par with something of a ChatGPT 4.0 image generator, if you ask me at least. But all in all, it's still pretty good. And I did also try it out with a YouTube thumbnail to see how well it would do with a YouTube thumbnail, to see how that would look when it's writing out text, because, well, I'm a YouTuber, and it doesn't do too bad. You can definitely tell that the words are in line, using very modern styles of thumbnails. And all in all, I think this is pretty good, but definitely not my number one, but definitely an improvement, I think, over Imagen 3, if you ask me. But tell me what your thoughts down below are. Do you think that this is pretty cool, or do you think that, well, it's okay, but it's not your preferred one? That being said, if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest AI news, you should definitely like and subscribe. With that being said, your boy Dex, not Dexter.